Hello, hello. Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. And let me get my ear doo-oppy here. It's trying to pop out of my ear. All right. Today we are recording show 173. And it is Wednesday. It is June 9th. It's a little bit after 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we're here on our normal bat day and bat time. And I'm glad that you folks are joining me. What I'm going to do, as I normally do, is I'm going to check in with technology. So I'm going to check in with Facebook and make sure that we are streaming correctly. And so let me jump over there and make sure technology is behaving. All right, there we are. I see we are live. If you are joining us, please don't be shy. Give us a like or drop into the comment section. Maybe tell us where you're coming to us from. And as I bring on our guests, don't be shy, and let's make sure to let him know that you're listening. And if you have any questions as we go along, I'll do my best to put those on the screen real time and read those off so that we can get his responses. Let me take a look over here. Yes, looks like all systems are go. So our guest today is an industry veteran. I've known him for many, many years, and many of you are going to know him and you're going to know his companies. I'm bringing on Doug Greenwald, and Doug's been in the industry actually since the early 90s. He and I were just talking before we went live, and he, you know what? I'm noticing that he disappeared. So let's see if he comes back and joins us. But he's been in the industry since the early 90s, 1993 to be exact. And he's played both sides of the business, in that he's been on the integration side, and he's running a very well-known software company that provides project management software for our industry. So let's go ahead and bring in Doug, and let's get him formally introduced. Doug, you disappeared there for a minute, but you came back.
Man, my camera timed out. I don't know what happened.
That was funny. You and I were just practicing before we went live. And I was like, this doesn't happen often, but every now and then technology doesn't behave. And but you played it cool, and you clicked the link, and here you are. How are you, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
You know, another day in paradise. Can't complain. I live by that motto. It's a state of mind.
I agree with you.
Where are you coming to us from, Doug?
I'm coming from Arizona today. So we're one of my homes that I live in is Arizona. My other home I live in is in Hawaii.
I was going to say, I was talking to you the other day, and you were in Hawaii. So I'm just curious, how do you juggle? When do you spend time in Hawaii, and when do you spend time in Arizona?
So it kind of varies, depends on the business. With COVID, obviously, I couldn't get over to my Hawaii house very much because of the shutdown and everything. But normally it depends on my travel schedule. So if I'm not, when trade shows are going on and everything, like they're going to start up again, which I'm really excited about, where we have our first one coming up in July, I'll stay on the mainland here in Arizona and, work from here. In the winters, Arizona's a little too cold for me. I know people laugh at that, but
are you serious? Wait a second. How cold does Arizona? Are you in Scottsdale or what?
Yeah, in the Phoenix area, but the valley gets cold, man. I mean, at night it'll get down into the 30s and maybe 40s.
For how many days?
Maybe like the month of January, part of December, but during the day it might get up to 70.
Do you know how many people, Doug, are listening and groaning right now?
Yeah, I get it all the time. But yeah, you become acclimated to where you live, and I became acclimated. So now I go to Hawaii because that's just 85 all year. So
That's true. So we have Brandy. She just joined us, and she goes, "Las Vegas winters are cold too."
yep,
So,
they are. Same thing.
Brandy, how cold does it get in winter in Las Vegas? I'm not sure I'm buying it, Brandy. You got to tell me how cold it gets. But that's funny. Is it really 85 year round in Hawaii?
Pretty much, so I live in Kona on the Big Islands. During the day, it'll be between, 84 to 87. And then at night, it'll get down to like the high 60s, low 70s. So yeah, it's perfect. Well, that's why it's paradise. I mean, it's perfect temperature all year, pretty much.
I have Ted here. He's asking a question. I'm going to admit I have no idea what he's talking about. So Ted says, "Isn't Arizona where haboobs
Haboobs,
happened?
haboobs,
Ever
yeah.
been in a haboob? What is it? What is Ted talking about?"
So what haboob is a big dust storm. So we're actually entering our haboob season, which is called monsoon season. So usually we're guaranteed at least one a year. Actually, last year was the first time I've lived here for 25 years, and I think last year we didn't even get one. But usually we get one big one. It's a big dust wall that comes in, and it's nasty. I mean, it really creates a mess, especially of your pool. I mean, it'll destroy your pool.
Do people cover their pools when that happens?
Some people do. No, most people know.
Just let your
That's what in
filter do its job.
yeah, well, that's what in-floor cleaning does, blow all the dust down the drain.
That's right. That's right. So, and for those that are eager to hear Brandy's answer, Brandy tells us that it gets in Vegas, it gets into the 40s and 50s. So, oh, God forbid. Well, I'm here in Florida,
Cool.
so I'm
I was gonna say
with
you
Brandy.
can't talk. You live in Florida.
Hey, but I'm from Virginia, and we had 4 real seasons.
Well, I grew up in Wisconsin, for all fairness, so I know what cold is.
So, all right, and you know why I landed in Florida?
To get away from the cold.
Well, I'm from Virginia, but in a early part of my career with Lutron, they put me in Minneapolis.
Oh,
And
no,
so I was
horrible.
there for 3 years, and I moved to Florida to thaw out, and I'm still working on thawing out. So I'm trying to think, how many years is it later? 17 years later, and I'm still working on thawing out from my
Yeah,
frozen
Minneapolis
tundra.
is pretty. That's worse than Wisconsin, but up in that upper Midwest, area. I mean, the cold is brutal. I mean, it's brutally cold.
It's amazing if you've never felt, what like a 30 below wind chill is. It's shocking. It's shockingly cold.
You don't want to feel it.
You don't want to feel it. It's
No.
You quickly learn, oh, this is what they mean when people go outside and freeze to death.
Well, and this is what I say to people, like, well, how do you handle the 115 or something? Like, I'll take that any day over, 30 below wind chills. I mean, I'll just go jump in my pool.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right. So for those that are listening, let's quickly define the two businesses. You're well known, Doug, in our industry for you're wearing a Project 360 shirt. So maybe we'll start there. And then if you could also just quickly introduce your other business.
Sure. So I am the founder of Projects 360, which we're an end-to-end SaaS management solution for the industry, designed specifically for this industry. We don't go after any other markets. My background comes from owning an integration company. I've been in the industry, like Ron said, since the early 90s. Had my own integration company since 2001. So I've been, doing that for 20 years and developed software to help manage and run the business.
Got it. And out of curiosity, Project 360, are your customers primarily integrators, and are they in the United States, or do you have customers in other countries?
So first part of the question, yes, they're pretty much all integrators of some sort, residential or commercial. The majority of our clients are US, but we have clients in Europe, Canada, Australia, so some other countries also.
Okay. And the integration business, what's the name of the integration business, and where does that business operate?
So my integration company is Creative Sound and Integration, and it's in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we do really high-end residential. We do some commercial, but mostly our focus is new construction, multi-million dollar homes, average projects, about 150,000 that we do.
Got it. So that business, Creative Sound and Integration, that is a perennial CE Pro top 100 business. Is that
Correct? It is.
accurate?
Yeah. We're on the lower end of the 100. We're not the 1, 2, or 3. But I mean, we're in the 100 pretty much every year. So.
That's like One Firefly. We're an Inc. 5000 company. We're not saying what number we are. We're in the top 5,000. That's what's important here, and that's what So you're running a CE Pro 100 business. Now, in that business, you have a business partner. And you have a GM. So what's your day-to-day role in that business? And maybe we'll touch very lightly on this. How much are you day-to-day in the integration business versus the Project 360 business?
So the integration company, my business partner, kind of Ed Moreau, does all the purchasing and sale and some of the sales. We do have a sales person also. I do some of the sales for clients that I've had for many years. When I say clients, builders and stuff that just prefer to, they're used to dealing with me, and I deal with them. But more, our GM, Steve Denny, kind of runs the day-to-day operations for us, oversees all the team and everything. And I'm more the visionary and kind of looking at, where the company's going, developing the processes better to be more efficient, dealing with some of the struggles that we all deal with in this industry because it is such a moving target. But then the majority of my time is kind of spent with Projects 360 because it's the new baby. We're the new guys on the block when it comes to software. We've been around since 2016 in the industry, and we're growing. So I kind of do all the sales for that, do all the trade shows. My time is a little more focused on the Projects 360 side.
Got it. So I've got a plethora. That's my 7-point word for the day. A plethora of things I want to dive into on both sides of those businesses. Before we get there, my audience and I always enjoy to learn what brought you here. Maybe what's your origin story in this industry, if you don't mind sharing.
Sure, no problem. I was into music when I was younger. Loved it. Played in some bands when I was younger. I had a girlfriend in the early 90s that, she's like, I think you'd be good in sales in like audio video. So I went and applied at one of the audio video stores in Wisconsin, and needless to say, I got a job. Ended up being one of the top sales guys. Moved out to Arizona, worked for another integration company. Got more into the custom side of stuff. I started out more of retail and, 2-channel. I was back in the 90s. That's kind of what it all was about. And then I progressed into this whole automation thing. I met my business partner at the place I worked in Phoenix, and we decided to start our own company to do things a little different.
Well, is that business where you guys were at? Is that business still in business?
No, it was around for a long time in the Valley, but it's been gone for quite some time. So we kind of also seen the writing on the wall on that, and some things that weren't being done correctly, especially in the early days of custom. I mean, when, the late 90s, early 2000s, when things were kind of progressing and changing from the retail audio video to an integration company, so a lot of things were changing.
What were some of those things that jumped out to, and what was the name of that business? Just so we
Buzz Jensen Sound Advice.
Buzz Jensen's Sound Advice. What were some of those things that you and Ed observed were maybe not being done the best way?
It's really, there was no process in place, for doing custom, for dealing with builders. His business was born as a retail store, and I'm, again, no knocking on that. There's a lot of guys that have done it, but I think he had a hard time doing the transition and adjustment from retail to kind of dealing with new construction and builders and stuff like that. And he was kind of going down more the production road, where both Ed and I wanted to kind of go down the more higher end custom road and deal with not so much volume, so not quantity but quality. kind of thing. Not saying that track is not quality, but it's production. I mean, you're doing volumes, you're doing numbers. It's a whole nother beast, you know.
So the year, and I'm going to look over here on my cheat sheet. The business creative sound and integration. You and Ed started that. What was that, around 2000?
2001.
2001. What's the journey with that business been like?
Oh, it's been quite the journey. So, it started out just the couple of us. We did everything. I was out in the field pre-wiring, installing. So was Ed. Ed did all the Crestron programming. I did all the lighting programming at the time for Vantage. We did it ourselves, started hiring employees as we could afford them, and then started scaling the business and, got, enough employees that we got out of the field. And what I even kind of advise other companies that I talk to that are starting out, because I'm fortunate enough to be able to discuss this with projects and stuff, the sooner you can get yourself out of the installation side of it and into the business side of your company, the better off you're going to be to scale it. So, we were fortunate that I was really focused on us getting out of that as quickly as possible and getting more on both of us getting more on the business side of things. So as we grew, we reinvested in the company. Instead of taking humongous salaries at the time, we kept it pretty modest, and we put the money back into the business and hired people. And we were able to collaborate, create processes, and scale it to what it is today.
Got it. And how and when did you decide to put a GM in place running the business, or helping you and Ed run the business? Because I'm just thinking about your peers, folks that are listening and watching this. That's probably a curiosity. They're like, please, Doug, tell me more. How did you put somebody in place to help you run the day-to-day?
Well, so we were fortunate enough, Steve has been with us since 2005. I mean, he started out as an installer. Not saying that every installer out there is going to, make a great GM someday, but Steve really understood the business, really had a passion for it. He worked himself up into the company. Him and I, on a personal level, became, pretty much best friends outside of business. His wife and my wife are close friends. So that trust factor was really there to do that. And it's been probably about 6-7 years now that he's really kind of worked his way into that role. We still all collaborate. I mean, don't get me wrong, but Steve has the power to make big decisions. When to terminate people, when on the hiring process, all that kind of stuff that we trust his opinion on.
Got it. How to bring us to the present for Creative Sound and integration? How was 2020 and how's 2021 looking?
So thank God, knock on wood. I mean, last year, surprisingly, we doubled our business in Creative Sound. I mean, we had one of the best years ever. Construction in Arizona did not stop whatsoever. It didn't miss a beat. Even though we had that shutdown, we didn't have a shutdown. We never closed or anything like that. So thank God, we did really good. And this year, we're even ahead of that. We're up right now this year from last year at this time, about 47%. So,
Wow.
yeah, we really had, it's been good. And I hope it continues. I mean, but we're in a hot market now. Construction's really booming. A lot of people are, after COVID, I think a lot of people, personally and business wise, learned you can do a lot at home, and, entertainment at home is far more valuable because we were always the add-on, I mean, when people were designing their new home, if budgets had to be cut, who's the first industry? I mean, it's always us. We're one of the first ones to get cut. Where now I think people are taking it, thinking twice about it. They want nicer audio throughout the sorry about that, throughout the house and everything. And video, home theaters are kind of coming back a little bit. So I think that's, really had a big impact in a positive way on our industry.
So I'm going to pull on a thread or two there. and I'm going to say from a marketing perspective, and those listening, they've probably heard me say some version of this before. Prior to COVID, we didn't see the concept of the home office being requested by our integrators in their on their websites, in their brochures, in their social media feed or emails. And now we see that. We've seen that work its way in. Are you seeing that? And what other trends has really occurred because of the last 18 months?
Well, I think what we're seeing, we don't do a lot of home office stuff per se. I mean, there's a huge network, and that's always been a core piece of any of our projects we've done. But I think what you're seeing from the commercial side, and I can speak as myself. So my software company was always remote before COVID. And just because we have I have employees all over the country working for us because we can be. We don't have people coming in. But with my integration company, we're right now in the middle of actually downsizing our office space because after the pandemic, during the pandemic, I let my office team rotate and work part-time from home, which is a benefit. People really like that. The technology's here. I think what COVID taught us is that it is really easy and in a lot of ways more efficient to work from home. And it's a great benefit to offer your team. And it helps reduce your overhead as a business owner because I'm fortunate enough that I'm opening up like show area for clients more and less office space because I'm maintaining that. I didn't see a reduction in productivity. If anything, I've seen an increase in it, and I think it's a great benefit to offer your team.
So as an integrator, I'm going to say you're maybe one of the first I've heard talk about this. The idea that you've flexed your time with your staff, or you've changed some paradigms in terms of allowing people to not have to physically be in the office. Can you expand, like, what type of roles in your company are allowed to do that? Or is it for everyone's allowed to do that? Because, I think it's certainly a hot topic right now. I think COVID's changed society a bit, the work life,
Oh, for sure.
Situation.
So how we're doing it in my company is my office staff kind of splits the time. So some will be in a set of 2 days, the other set in another 2 days, and then Fridays rotate on that. My project manager can work remotely. My GM works remotely a couple days, not every day, but a couple days as they can when they're not out on sites. Obviously, the installers and stuff, I mean, they're out in the field doing their jobs. I have my warehouse manager in the office every day because somebody has to be there to run the warehouse and everything like that.
Got it. Now makes sense. Now, your Project 360 business has actually been virtual. You had mentioned you had gone virtual with your staff prior to COVID. Can you help us understand how you made that decision?
So how we made that decision. So I had that office space in the beginning, but then as we started taking off and we brought on some developers that are in other states, my onboarding director, Ryan, who does all the onboarding, lives in Idaho. He doesn't even live in Arizona. I didn't want to limit my team and my resources just to what's available in Arizona. So as we did all that, I mean, it wasn't really fair to the team in Arizona that I have to keep coming into the office. Like I mentioned, it's not like we have clients that come to an office or anything like that. So wasn't really necessary for us to have an office. So when my lease became up, I'm like, I'm not going to renew this. I'm going to save myself $4,000 a month, and we're going to go remote. And did that about a year before COVID.
Got it. No, that makes sense. Now, I'm gonna make a giant leap here, and I think I'm hearing groans from everyone as I say that, and that is that maybe your integration business probably fully runs on Project 360.
Yes.
Is that the case, and how long has that been the case? And was it running on what is now 360 even before it was a product?
So it is running fully on 360. How projects all became about. So I had that, like I mentioned, the integration company since 2021. We were a big D-Tools user for 15 years. I mean, we used it for the proposal side and everything like that. Um, but I was in the same boat as a lot of guys. I was looking for a good project management platform, and I looked at some off the shelf, and some other ones, but they weren't really geared towards the industry. And I was fortunate enough. I started the software company in 2010. But we were just doing development like web development and software development for other businesses. It was its own entity, but everything was done in-house. We didn't farm things out overseas. The developers actually worked for me. So when I was looking for that in 2013, my senior developer goes, well, why don't we just build something for you? And I'm like, all right. So we took kind of our scope of work for just the project management side of everything and spent 2013 building that, because software, just want to share with everybody, takes a long time to build. Building just that part, we used it, rolled it out to my team in like 2014. We used it. They liked it. So in 2015, I decided to bring it to Cedia to see if there would be any interest. And there was. And we rolled it out to the public in February of 16 and been expanding it ever since. Because at that time it was just project management, but now we're a full end-to-end solution. And we use it, software. The reason I developed it, we had the processes kind of there. But what software is there for is to help you manage and run your processes. So, that's what we, designed it for and utilize it for, is to help businesses run their, maintain their processes.
Walk us through that. For those that are watching the video feed, they're going to see on screen that I'm on your website now, and I'm going to click around. But if you could just at a high level, maybe just talk about the integrator that is maybe running iPoint or D-Tools or Simply Reliable or any of the other good software out there. What is it that Project 360 is doing, and what are is it module based, or just, give me more, help me understand what this is.
So we're fully cloud based, which means you can access it on any device, anywhere. We're not desktop software, because desktop software is kind of phasing out. It's kind of an old technology, but we can do everything from manage your sales process to generate your proposal to all your project management, time tracking, scheduling, work orders. Into service, we have a full inventory management system to track your inventory. And again, the inventory system is designed because we don't stock a lot of product in our industry. It's ordered by project, and that's exactly how the software is designed for that. So it is an end-to-end solution. We try to keep the UI user-friendly. We truly listen to our existing customers and try to do the enhancements. So we're always working on the platform. I have 4 full-time developers that are constantly working on it. We're trying adding enhancements, enhancing existing sections of it. So our end goal is to be the main software for this industry, the go-to to handle and help other integrators run their companies.
How do you determine what enhancements get done and in what order? Because I'm imagining you have, I believe you have hundreds of customers operating this software, and I'm sure there's certainly more vocal customers than others in terms of what they want you to do next. How do you determine that? And how do you think it's really a product dev question?
Yeah,
I mean, how do you?
It's a great question. No, great question. So we do have a feature request inside the software for our existing customers, and that does come into our database. Doesn't mean that enhancement is going to happen right then and there. But we put it in our database. So when we go to either enhance an existing section of the software or look at what should we add new to the platform, it is based on how many people are requesting something. That's the first thing we go to. We really do look at it. We really go through it, and then we have it all categorized by the different sections of the software. We also categorize it by what's low-hanging fruit. Is this something we can quick do that's not going to take a ton of development time, or is this a bigger piece that it has to kind of wait till we go and really and overhaul that section of the software and then add it then. Because when you're building a big platform like this, everything talks to each other. So everything intertwines and it makes it a lot more complex. A lot of things sometimes the end users don't realize. It looks really simple. Well, just add this here. But in the back end, I mean, it's touching so many different things that it's not just a simple, quick, enhancement or fix or change or anything like that. But we listen to all that. We go through it as a team. We go when we're going to do a new section or an existing section. We go through that list. We call it the wish list, the dream list for everybody, us, our customers, anybody. And then the nice thing about having the development in house is my senior developer can tell me, well, we can't quite do it this way, but maybe we can do this, and achieve the same outcome or a similar outcome to that. So that's really how it's done.
What is the impact? I've heard you say that you're the only fully cloud-based solution
for
available
end-to-end.
For end-to-end. What does that mean?
So to basically take your project from the sales process all the way through completion and tracking your inventory and everything in one platform that's fully cloud-based that you can access anywhere on any device. Don't get me wrong. I mean, D-Tools has their cloud version and they're rolling out more and more pieces of it. They don't have an inventory piece yet, though, at this time. But, them and iPoint really are our biggest, competitors on that when it comes to that. But iPoint isn't cloud-based. They're a more of a hybrid desktop platform.
What has you most excited about Project 360? What's coming up in the next 12 to, I'm going to give you a long window, 12 to 24 months. Like what's coming down the pipe? I'm giving you a big window here. So hopefully highly attainable goals here. What has you pumped?
So there's a bunch of things. So right now, what we're rolling into right now, we just released our phase 1 of our CRM enhancement, which was more structural, wasn't a lot of feature rich things. That's coming later on. And we just released our project health report where you can run a report of a status financially and health wise where that project is. But what we're going to be rolling into now is a full back end kind of rewrite. So we're built in what's called a LAMP platform, which means Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. Well, PHP, MySQL, JSON have a bunch of new, versions and everything. So we want to stay in the latest version and also increase the performance of the software, which these new versions actually do. So we're going to spend the next, probably the rest of this year rewriting that whole back end to speed up performance. And there's going to be some features there. But then the big one is we're going to roll into our overall proposal enhancement where that's a huge list. I actually met with a team of probably 10 of our integrators that use our platform and got their feedback. So we got a really long list of enhancements that we want to do and features that we want to add to that. So we're going to rewrite that. We're going to redo our scheduling so we can add a Gantt chart and all that kind of good stuff to our scheduling to make it a little more streamlined. We are going to add a client portal so clients can request service events and stuff like that. So we have a lot of really exciting things on the horizon, but I always want to stress, well, mostly my senior developer, Jason, wants me to stress, this all takes time, So there's a lot to it. And it doesn't get done fast enough for me. Even I'm just like, well, when's that coming out? I get excited just like our clients do. I'm like, well, it's going to take some time.
You want to offer it yesterday, but it's going to take some time to get there, and you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Oh, for sure. And Amen. Especially once you get into something. It never fails. You think you're on track for a certain time, and then you release that date, and all of a sudden, we just hit an obstacle. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
So Doug, what's an example? You maybe similar to me. You're on the front end of your business in many ways, working with integrators day to day, talking to them about their business, how your software could potentially help them. Whether your software is the answer or not, what are some of the common areas of operations, or you pick another category if it's appropriate, of an integrator that if they did it better, their life would be better?
The big thing I think is having processes in place. I mean, I can't stress it enough, even when I'm talking to a new integrator starting out, because I love to share, hey, I made tons of mistakes starting my company, and I still make mistakes. But if we, collaborating with other people, this really helps. And it always comes back to process and setting up processes and sticking to those processes and making it part of your team and your environment of your company. And that's where the software comes in play. I mean, I don't care what software it is, mine or anybody. No software is going to create the processes for you. That is something you, as the integrator and as the business owner, you have to do that, and then find the right platform to help you manage your processes and run your organization and get complete buy-in. You got to have buy-in on that. And I can't stress enough too, you definitely want to take the feedback from your technicians, but keep in mind they also don't understand the whole big picture that you might have on the business side. So it's that balancing act of the feedback and keeping in taking that valuable information from the team in the field, but also keeping in mind what your vision is, to run your company and what you need to do to take your company to that next level. Because again, the biggest obstacle we see in the software side, and I don't care what software platform it is, technicians, no one likes change, and sometimes that's the biggest pushback you're going to get, because, we're in the tech industry, but not everybody's always that comfortable in, the tech software and stuff like that, or wants to document everything.
If an integration business adopts better processes and they utilize a piece of software potentially to help them play those processes step by step, what's the benefit to the business? What's the why? I'm going to follow Simon Sinek's. Why should they care?
There's a bunch of solutions to that. You're going to keep a better team of employees, because employees, whether they admit it to you or not, want structure. They want process. It's just like kids, and they want that structure and foundation of everything. B, it's going to streamline everything. It's going to reduce the big thing this industry is notorious for is all the B backs or not having all the product ready for the job, and now you have to make another trip, or you have to expedite it. Now you're paying expedited shipping on something. It's all those little inefficiencies, and in all honesty, the technicians get frustrated with that. Too, not only just the business owners. So by having processes in place and laying them out and have them there for people to follow, everybody knows who's responsible for what and know what their role is. Make sure you do job descriptions, writing job descriptions of stuff of, who's responsible for this section of it. And bottom line is the big improvement, you're going to see a huge improvement in your bottom line, because your jobs are going to come in more on budget. They're going to be streamlined. You're not going to spend all this extra money on expediting equipment, all that kind of stuff.
If you were to grade our industry and the thousands of integrators in their attention to process, how would you grade them? I'm asking you there's no right answer to this. You're going to get tomatoes thrown at you no matter what.
I was going to say, you really put me on the spot there. I mean,
I think tell you no gotcha questions.
It depends on the company. Overall, I would say we're probably about a high C, maybe a C plus. I mean, I think there's a ton of improvement for all of us. There really is a ton of room for improvement for all of this, for everyone. And it's learning. We do have our industry's tough. I'll be honest with you. My developers, my senior developer comes to the trade shows and everything with us, and he's learned a lot about this industry since he's been working with me. And he even says, he's like, sometimes you guys just really overthink things, and make things a little more complicated than they have to be. And I kind of tend to agree with him on some of that stuff, where I think sometimes we're making a bigger deal out of, making a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, that could use improvement, but what are we going to really gain from that? So look at, that fine line of too many steps versus having that sweet spot where you just got the right process in place to get it streamlined and not overthink things.
Where do you and your company, Project 360, sit in terms of whether you're delivering the Project 360 process and this is what they should follow, or whether they have a process and they can accommodate or modify the software, the tool to work within their process? I mean, I imagine there's two opposing forces here, and somewhere
For
they need.
sure. Yes, still for sure. There's that, and part of our onboarding process, and Ryan, my onboarding director, um, is awesome at it. Is coming to that. It's a give take. We both got to compromise with each other. We can't, we get some people that just want every little thing to match their process. Well, then at that point, you need a custom software. I mean, and that's extremely expensive. I can tell you that right now. Where it's a team thing. It's a marriage where it's a give take. They're going to have to modify some of their processes that they might be used to right now to work with the system. But again, that's where we listen to the feedback to try it. And again, it's based on majority, not just one company. It's based on majority of asking for this because I can't do something special for each individual company. No software company can. I mean, it's impossible. Because then you're no matter what our famous line in our thing, we're going to piss somebody off. I mean, it's
Yeah.
inevitable. We try not to, but we're gonna. But it's a marriage.
So talk to me about events. We've all been locked down from events for a long time now, too long. And let's say people are starting to get vaccinated. What's the event season look like for Project 360? Maybe both sides. Your integration business. What shows are you guys going to go to this year, if any? And then the Project 360 as a vendor. Where are you guys going to go?
So, and you brought up my favorite subject. I'm so ready to get back on the road, and I'm so sick of being cooped up like everybody else. For Projects 360, our trade shows start next month. We're doing ISC West in Vegas first. Then we got an event for ProSource in August in San Antonio. Then obviously CEDIA in September in Indianapolis. Then October is Infocom in Orlando. And then the Total Tech Summit in Orlando again in November. So that's what our season's going to be like for Projects 360 for shows. For my own integration company, we send our team to CEDIA. We're big CEDIA. I've been part of CEDIA since the 90s. We also send a team to Infocom because not that we do a ton of commercial, but we do some. And we do some upper end boardrooms. And Infocom, for all those who have never gone, I highly recommend going. It's a really cool show because it's CEDIA on steroids. There's a lot of things that we may not do, but it's really cool to see. If you really like the technology and the whole reason we all got into this business, it's a really fun show to go to and see all the cool stuff. And then we also send a team to the Tech Summit, a couple guys to the Tech Summit. So.
Got it. Any prediction whether the shows are going to be mask on or mask off?
That I don't know for sure. I can say from the people I've talked to, because obviously being a vendor, we get to talk to the people putting on the shows. It really seems like attendance is going to be good. I mean, I think a lot of people are just like what I said, just ready to get back out there. Everybody's sick of the virtual trade shows and everything. Everybody's just ready to, I mean, that's where we all get to meet and collaborate and share ideas and do all that fun stuff. And I think everybody's just ready for it.
No, amen. I completely agree. I look forward to getting back out there and seeing our industry friends and our customers and it can't happen soon enough.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Amen. Doug, for those that want to get in touch with you directly or learn about your businesses, what are all the channels of communication? How can they reach you?
So for that, you can email me. The best email probably would be Doug at projx 360.com. You can also email me at my integration company, which is Doug at creativesound.info. And email is always the best way to communicate for me. And then if we want to jump on a call or discuss anything, I'm always open to that, especially business. I love this industry. I have a big passion for this industry, and I think we can all learn from each other.
Amen. I completely agree. Doug, it's been a pleasure having you on show 173 of Automation Unplugged, sir.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, truly appreciate it. And it was a blast.
Awesome. So, folks, there you have it. The one and only Doug Greenwald. Doug and I were actually at an event a few years ago with Joey over at One Vision. And Joey had rented a boat, and we were out on a boat, and we were eating, good food and wine. And Doug and I had a chance to catch up, and for me to learn about both of his businesses. And I'd been meaning, and he had been meaning to come here on the show and let me interview him. And I'm glad that we made our schedules work and got that done. So, Doug, again, thank you for coming on the show. And quick message, just high level, summer is here, folks. For example, my son, today was his last day of school. And so I'm just going to tell you a little scheduling change that I made personally. And if this means something to you, then cool. If not, don't worry. But, my son is 12 and he's entering the 7th grade. And he's on summer vacation, and I'm here in my home office, and I'm always working. And so I've decided to make a little bit of a schedule change, and I'm blocking out some of my midday, 5 days a week, so that I can make sure I have lunch with with my son and my wife. And I normally was not doing that during the school year. And we only have so many years with our kids at home or your loved ones. So it is summer, and remember what it was to be a kid and have that summer vacation and all that freedom and how excited you were. And so I've made a little bit of a minor lifestyle change so that I can see more of him and my wife in the middle of the day. And maybe there's something you can do. Maybe there's, just be mindful. We're all so busy being busy. It's important to poke our heads up and look around and remember those around us that we care about. So if that means something for you, maybe make a to-do, changing something in your scheduling so that you can see those around you that you know and love. And it might be a good change of pace. So on that note, I appreciate y'all joining me, and I will see you next week for another show. We have a stacked couple of months of guests. It's going to be all sorts of fun content, and I will see you on the flip side. I will put up our website and phone number if you do want to reach out to anyone here at One Firefly. And I guess I'll give one extra plug. We're doing some hiring here at One Firefly, so definitely check out the careers page at onefirefly.com. We have various account management positions. We have sales positions. And maybe there are a few more posted. So we're continuing to grow and scale, and we're looking for rock stars to join our team. So definitely be sure to check us out. And I will see you all next week, and I'm signing off. Thanks, everyone.